So the Modern Warfare 2 beta only has 1 or 2 days remaining, and then of course the Weekend 2 will be just a couple following days after the beta ends, and I'm very excited to check out Weekend 2. I'm assuming they're going to add a lot more. But today I just want to talk about, I think, what is the biggest problem with this game currently, and that is of course the time to kill. And funny enough, this is my biggest problem for a couple different Call of Duties because I do believe time to kill is one of, if not the most important factor to a Call of Duty experience because it affects everything. Obviously, there's tons of things that matter, like map design, and I'm a big fan of streaks, so I really like when there's good streaks and there's a good streak system in the game. Obviously, like the class system, all that stuff matters. But at the end of the day, time to kill is what impacts the most in terms of the gameplay experience. And I really do feel like the time to kill in Modern Warfare 2 is way too fast, beyond too fast. I know I'm definitely in the minority when I say that I prefer the time to kill being like extremely slow, and I mean extremely slow for a COD game. Obviously, I don't want it to be as slow as something like a Halo game, which I love that for Halo's gameplay, but obviously I wouldn't want that in a Call of Duty shooter. But I do like the time to kills being around the same as like Cold War and Black Ops 4, which is amongst of the slowest time to kills we've ever seen in Call of Duty. And honestly, I wouldn't even mind if it was even slower than Black Ops 4, just by a little bit. But even then, I just want it to be slower than what it is now. I think, in my opinion, time to kill should be slower than the average human reaction time, which the average human reaction time is 250 milliseconds. So in my opinion, it should be slower than that as an average, but it really hasn't been for most Call of Duty games. Most Call of Duty games have had a faster time to kill than the average human reaction time, but of course there's other factors to go into the game, obviously, like accuracy and like aim assist and how strong it is in the game, because obviously it's not the same in every single COD, so obviously different things play a role in it. But at the end of the day, I do think the time to kills should normally be on the slower end, because I do think it makes it so the game is more skill based. There's more skill involved in who wins the gunfight. I went kind of in depth with this on another video. I will put a link to that video in the description. I really went in depth with like full graphics and in-game examples of what I mean by slower time to kills taking more skill in terms of like the individual gunfights that are involved with a game that has a slower time to kill compared to a faster time to kill. And also, I strongly believe that the gameplay is a lot faster paced when the time to kill is slower because players are less likely to camp. They don't really feel like they have to, go slowly around corners and all tactical like when the time to kill is slower, because they know they can actually have a chance in gunfights. When the time to kill is super fast, there's not really gunfights there. It's usually just whoever shoots first gets the kill, and whoever shoots first should not get the kill all of the time, because that's just not fair. That obviously is not fair, because you could have a really shitty player who has barely played COD in their life. They could just shoot you in the back because they just randomly came up behind you, and they will most likely get that kill if the time to kill is fast. They will most likely get it. They don't need to be good. They don't need to have good accuracy. None of that matters. They just shoot you and you're dead. But with a slower time to kill, you have a chance to react to that, and you can fight back. And obviously, if that's a good player with a slow time to kill, they're probably still going to get the kill regardless. Like I said, I go way more in depth in that video, so definitely go check it out, link in the description. Now I want to take a look back at all of the previous Call of Duty games and kind of look at their time to kill values and how they compare to one another. So this is a graphic of every single time to kill value from COD 4 all the way up to Cold War. It does not have Vanguard. That is the only COD that is not on this. And of course, Modern Warfare 2 is very, very recent, so they don't have, actual values or no one's really tested it out yet. I'm sure we're going to get that soon, but no one has done that yet. And it's not like it's a simple process to do that. Right here, this is just for the ARs. So keep that in mind, the ARs only. It's really hard to balance it with all the different guns because obviously time to kill values are going to get kind of all over the place. So it's easiest just to look at the assault rifles. So it's the average time to kill on all of the assault rifles in each of these Call of Duty games. So one thing to keep in mind here is that some of them are a little bit different in practice than it actually is statistically speaking, because something can be statistically true, but in practice it doesn't really apply the same way. For example, Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2, you might be wondering, why are they so high up on the list there? Why are they seem to be like the fastest time to kill, is when they don't really feel that way in the game. And I believe this is because of the hit detection in those games, because they were a lot older, and Treyarch's older games hit detection were not very good. So that made the time to kill feel a lot slower than it actually was, because more bullets that you were shooting were not actually even connecting onto the person, even though you were shooting at them. So it made the time to kill feel slower in that way, and actually made the game better in my opinion, which is really weird how the hit detection not being as good made the game more enjoyable. I just find that kind of funny. Same with World at War. World at War is in practice a lot slower than what it is there, but this is the statistical time to kills, and obviously they also show you the stopping power statistical time to kills with the games that did have stopping power, because a lot of people used stopping power. So obviously you can see COD Ghosts, Modern Warfare 3, COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 2019. Those are like the fastest time to kill CODs, most of the Modern Warfare games, and of course Ghosts. And yeah, that's usually how it is. Infinity Ward likes their faster time to kills. They've always kind of been doing that. The only time they really decided to go outside of that was Infinite Warfare, and I really loved that Infinite Warfare time to kill. I thought it was perfect for that game. So when I went into Modern Warfare 2, I was not expecting them to make any big changes with the time to kill, because Infinity Ward's kind of just used to doing those faster time to kills. But I was really just hoping there would be a change, because I really don't think it's good for the gameplay in any way, shape, or form. Now you might be wondering, well, why do they do that? If you don't think it's good for the gameplay, and if a lot of people don't think it's good for the gameplay, because a lot of people are complaining about the time to kill on Twitter right now, why do they do it? Well, like I said before, slower time to kill makes the game more about skill. There's a bigger skill gap. So when you have a fast time to kill, the skill gap is not as big. Infinity Ward tends to not want their games to have high skill gaps. That's been pretty clear. They usually don't want to have that, because they want as many people to have a good time as possible. And it's obviously very hard for a bad player to perform well in a game like Black Ops 4 when you have that slower time to kill. And I really do believe this is the reason why a lot of people didn't like Black Ops 4, was because of that. A lot of people just could not perform well in the game because they're not very good in general. So of course, if the time to kill is slower, they're going to have trouble getting kills. And that's why you see people complaining, oh my god, I have to put a whole mag into somebody to kill them in that game. You don't have to put a whole mag into somebody, but if you're missing your shots, yes, it might take you a whole mag, which is what happens with a lot of people. So I don't want to call out anybody. Just because you don't like the slower time to kill does not automatically mean you suck, but in general, usually that's kind of how it works. It's usually the people who aren't really that great who tend to not want that, because they obviously don't want the skill gap to be too high, because then they can't have as much fun, because they're not going to perform as well. So I kind of understand that, and that's why I don't necessarily think this game should have like a really slow time to kill like on, you know, Black Ops 4's level. I want that for Treyarch's next game, definitely. But for Infinity Ward's CODs, I keep wanting to say Infinite Warfare, for Infinity Ward's Call of Duties, I'm okay with it being a bit faster. But the problem is when you get too fast, like really anything faster than like Modern Warfare 2019, when you start getting to those really fast values, the game starts to become just so random. Like, it doesn't feel like the game has any flow to it. It doesn't feel like you can kind of control anything. It's just run around with your like a chicken with his head chopped off. Like, that's how it feels in these games. And a lot of people like that just hectic, casual shooting nonsense, and people really do. But people who like the competitive side of COD, or they like to actually, like I said, your skill to matter for your actual abilities to have some sort of a purpose in the game, you just have trouble really enjoying it and getting engaged in it. And that's why I didn't play Modern Warfare 2019 as much, and it's why I probably won't even play this game as much if the time to kill doesn't change. There's a lot of good things about this beta. I really do have some fun in this beta, but then I start to really realize, yeah, well, it's only fun if nobody's putting a bullet into you, because once somebody taps you with a bullet, even like once or twice, you're dead. You're donezo. And there's been many clips online of people just getting deleted, and you're really only going to have a good time, again, if nobody even puts one bullet into you. And it does not take skill to avoid getting hit once. That is not what skill is about. Obviously, in a Call of Duty arcade shooter, you're gonna get shot, and that's okay. The whole skill involved in it is to avoid the gunfire after long periods of time and to be able to fight back. And you can't really do that in this game. You can get shot from across the map with an MP5 with someone who has no thumbs. And it's just simple as that. Like, it's not like skill is involved that substantially, so when you die, you don't really feel like you deserve that death. And that happens a lot in this game, where I'm coming around a corner and I get deleted by a guy who just happened to be sitting in the corner aiming down a corridor. I don't feel like I deserve that death, but he got the kill. And a lot of other things play a role in that, like the footstep audio and the whole mini-map system in this game that are also, I believe, are for the casual audience and not necessarily for the hardcore people who have been playing this game for years and years and are pretty damn good at it. So, I don't know. These are just some big issues I have here, but time to kill is definitely the biggest one for everything I just mentioned. I really prefer it being a lot slower. I think that's pretty obvious at this point, but like I said, I just want it to be a little bit slower. It doesn't have to be crazy slower, but needs to be slower than Modern Warfare 2019. And currently, I'm not sure where it is exactly, but it does feel like it's faster than Modern Warfare 2019. It really does. But what it feels like is not necessarily what it'll be like in practice. It's really hard to get a feel for time to kill, especially after only playing it for a couple days. I mean, you go to like Cold War. I remember people during Cold War, there's a couple people who said this. Obviously, it's not, the majority of people, but there was a couple people who thought the time to kill was one of the fastest in the franchise. I was like, what? Did you play this game? And they did. They played it a lot, but they really felt like it was fast. So that's what I mean by it's really hard to tell just by feel. You really have to actually have people like Exclusive Ace and whoever else does the testing in COD. I need to see them actually test it out for themselves so we can get actual millisecond value. But I can say confidently, I think there's enough people right now saying this as well, that they really do feel like this time to kill is incredibly fast and probably one of the fastest we've ever had. And that's obviously a big issue. I don't really see the point of it. They already have skill-based matchmaking, so why do they have to protect noobs even more than they already do? I don't know. I don't get it. But it is what it is. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. I will see you all in my next one. Peace out.